Michael Nida's memorial has seen its wear since his death October 22, 2011 in the city of Downey, California. Nida was a 31-year-old father of 4 who worked in construction. On the day he died, he was out on a date with his wife. When she stopped to refill the car with gas, Nida ran across the street to buy cigarettes. In the same part of town, 2 officers from the Downey Police Department were investigating an armed ATM robbery. They approached and then detained Nida. Nida had nothing to do with the robbery, but grew up in South Los Angeles and had a fear of law enforcement. So after being detained, he ran from police. He was detained again shortly thereafter, but managed to escape a second time. The last time he got away, sheriff officials said that he stopped and turned around in an aggressive manner. The moment before he turned around, Officer Steve Gilley fired at Nida with his gun, striking him twice in the back from 20 feet away. Officers found out later that Nida was unarmed. Nida's guardians ever since he was a baby are Jean and Jean Thaxton, and both refer to Nida as their son. So when they received a call about the shooting, they rushed to the scene.
We were there when they put him in the ambulance. We knew he didn't have much of a chance.
Nida died at the hospital of multiple gunshot wounds. His story may sound like a police misconduct story you've heard before. A man was mistakenly shot, unarmed, and later died. Except for a curious detail. Nida wasn't shot with a handgun. He was shot with an MP5 submachine gun, the same gun used by the Navy SEALs.
Why would they have a machine gun? We're not in a war zone. I didn't think this was a war zone.
Why were the police with this military-type weapon? It doesn't seem to be a good answer for that.
Timothy Lynch is the director of the Project on Criminal Justice at the CATO Institute. He has cautioned for years about the militarization of local police departments.
Your ordinary patrolman is not going to have on his person a submachine gun. Even if they have those types of weapons, they should only be called out in extraordinary and rare circumstances, such as when they know that they're going to be confronting a barricaded suspect or a group of suspects that they know are going to be heavily armed.
Lynch says police have been arming themselves for decades.
A lot of people think the militarization of our police departments began with 9/11. It actually started well before then, in the times where Congress wanted to ramp up the drug war.
Today's headlines make clear that the war on drugs that President Nixon declared in 1973 is still being waged, and that its special agents, over 2,200 of them, are on the front lines.
They began to make this type of equipment available to civilian police departments, M16s, grenade launchers, these armored personnel carriers.
And the MP5, but it doesn't matter what the weapon is. When police have equipment, they want to use it.
At first, when they got it, the idea was, okay, well, yeah, this is extraordinary weaponry. We'll have it just in case we ever need it. But then, as it crept along, the rationale became, look, we've got this weaponry, these tactics, we've been doing this military-type training, let's put it to use. Let's use them to execute drug warrants.
Let me police search warrant! Don't move! Don't move!
First, it was just our major metropolitan areas that would have a SWAT unit. The SWAT teams are no longer just in the big cities, they're in mid-size and even small towns now. And then suddenly, they're just carrying these things in their police cars on more routine calls.
The Downey Police Department did not want to speak on camera, but told us that they acquired the MP5s during the mid-90s. That being said, it's actually hard to pin down where police departments get machine guns and submachine guns. Sometimes they outright buy them, sometimes the money is acquired through asset forfeiture, but sometimes they get them from someplace else.
They're getting them from the Pentagon. From time to time, the Pentagon makes surplus military equipment available to the local police department. Sometimes they're practically just giving it away just for the departments that will apply for it.
They apply for it through the Pentagon's 1033 program, a program that for 17 years has supplied local police with millions of dollars worth of military-grade equipment at bottom dollar prices. Does your police department need a large sport utility vehicle? They've got that. How about an airplane, or even a helicopter? They've got those too. In fact, the program grew so popular that it had to be put on hold recently when police chiefs began transferring equipment received elsewhere.
We've had some reports of police chiefs initially getting equipment, but then maybe 2 years later, they're selling it to somebody else.
But it doesn't stop there. Politicians have even made it easier for local police to militarize under this program.
Congress a few years ago created like a 1-800 number where the local police departments can call, find out what's available, get the application process started.
Lynch is also quick to point out that just because police have equipment doesn't mean they know how to use it.
They've gotten their hands on the military equipment. Then it gets to the question of training, and sometimes they're not trained to use the weapons in an appropriate fashion.
And sometimes that training comes alongside members of the military, something Lynch says is troubling because although they may look the same, their roles are very different.
They both carry weapons, they both wear uniforms, but that's where the similarities end. Military's mission is to find the enemy and inflict heavy damage on them. They're not thinking about constitutional rights. The civilian police are encountering people in the community, people who do have constitutional rights, and their job is to use the absolute minimum amount of force. So when you have these two units training alongside one another, it's bringing the wrong type of tactics into our communities. It's totally inappropriate for a free society.
It's not just about the weapons in the officers' hands. It's about the militarization mentality local police officers bring to their jobs.
Our son was shot in the back. He was murdered. He didn't have a weapon. He wasn't involved in a crime. He wasn't on probation or parole. He wasn't a gang member, and he wasn't safe. He wasn't safe from the people that's supposed to be protecting him.
Every Saturday, the Thaxtons rally with family members and friends at the site of Nida's death, and they're looking after their grandkids even more now.
He was a good man. This shouldn't have happened.
He was my baby. When he didn't feel good, he always came to me.
Officer Gilley, who fired the MP5, was put on leave, but is back now on the force temporarily reassigned to the administrative division of the Downey Police Department.
I think he needs to make peace with his God, but I really do hope that he goes to prison for this, for killing our son.